brave new world that has such putzes in it.
Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 121. So far, I think this is the longest running GCRN show as far as episodes go. Obviously, ATTF would be the longest running actual podcast. And today we're, as I said in episode 120 with Ryan Drost from Star Joe's, Dark Side December here inside The Pull Bag didn't last too long because the Thrawn trilogy and Dark Empire, I liked them, I enjoyed them, but
the Sith got the better of them.
I've had enough of Star Wars comics. Those things are... I did not realize how big... Thrawn Trilogy is 18 comics. Dark Empire is 15 comics in each of their own physical trades. So we are ending the year for the Pull Bag with Batman Beyond 2.0 from Kyle Higgins and Gem and the Holograms. So that's the way we're ending the year here on the Pull Bag. And today we're talking about Batman Beyond 2.0, Mark of the Phantasm. This is the third volume, which collects the print issues 13 to 16. Since defeating the Justice Lords, Terry McGinnis has been focusing on the future, but as Batman tries to move forward, the past is about to catch up with him in a big way. Just as Ghoul manages to recreate the original Joker serum, one of Bruce Wayne's former foes, the Phantasm, returns to the scene. Her first target is Batman's new superhero protege, Vigilante, aka Jake Chill, a man whose past is tied to both Bruce's and Terry's own histories. When the truth is revealed, Bruce Wayne's secrets begin to unravel, and Terry won't stop until he uncovers them all. What he learns may change his perception of his mentor forever. But Terry has little time to dwell. Not only have the Joker's juiced up Vigilante on Joker serum, but Ghoul has figured out a way to use it to amplify powers, and his first two subjects are very familiar: Ink and Rewire. With so much on the line, will the Bat family be buried under this avalanche of history? Oh boy. Yeah, you can't escape the past, folks. So, I don't know, did you read the Justice Lords trade? I don't remember if you... I know you weren't on that episode.
Lords. Yes.
It was the trade right before this that it combined this series and the Justice League Unlimited, or Justice League Beyond series.
Yeah, where Terry kicks Superman's righteous ass.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, for anybody who has not listened to that episode, go back to episode 108 of the Pull Bag, where JT and I talked about that trade. In that trade, we have an alternate Neo-Gotham. And we, having an alternate timeline has alternate realities and alternate perceptions of people. In that alternate future, that alternate timeline, Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson are married. They have a child named John. Now, the reason why that is important is because John was Dick's father's name. So when Terry comes back to our Neo-Gotham and he kind of tells our Dick Grayson about this, it's kind of like this whole, circle of life kind of, that's funny, kind of ironic thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened in that was that in the Justice Lords timeline, Warren McGinnis is alive. He did not get murdered by Mr. Fix and his hit squad. So that's the other thing. That's kind of leading up and kind of setting up into this first arc of Mark of the Phantasm. The Mark of the Phantasm story here in this trade was when I interviewed Kyle way back when. Oh, God, it's been a few years now since that happened. But when I talked to Kyle Higgins here on the Pull Bag, this was the story he pitched DC in order to get the gig to do Batman Beyond. This is his own Mask of the Phantasm, and he pretty much lines it up very well. So we open up, and we get, like I said, as far as creative, it's Kyle Higgins and Alex Siegel in writing, Tony Silas, Phil Hester, Eric Gapster, and Craig Rosu are the artists. Guy Major and Nick Filardi are on colors. And man, did this story, this Mark of the Phantasm story, it kills me. It just kills me, because I know Kyle is a DCAU fanboy like we are. And how he wrote this history to fall in line, and I asked him on Twitter, because this obviously at the time of the Mark of the Phantasm story here, he doesn't know that Bruce is his dad. So this is before Justice League Unlimited Epilogue. This is before that final episode. So this takes place, after Return of the Joker, but before Epilogue. And they need to adapt this into an animated film. They really do. They need to stop with all this new 57 or new 96 or whatever the hell movies they're doing now, and they need to adapt this. Because damn, is this story good. What did you think when you first heard about this, when you first read through it, and what were your initial thoughts?
Well, first of all, having this callback to the first bit of Batman the Animated Series, really. I mean, it's the first film, the only theatrical release of Batman the Animated Series or anything DCAU related.
Right.
It being the strongest film, having this callback to it is a really nice touch. Considering even in Epilogue, they said, they mentioned the Phantasm. And then having this all come play out and the way that it does, of the Phantasm kind of trying to right the wrongs and everything still, and Bruce discovering that it's Andrea still running around in her Phantasm suit. It's priceless. And then having her meet the current Batman, it's just awesome.
When Batman Beyond 2.0 first launched back in 2014, what Kyle did was, remember when we read 10,000 Clowns?
Yep.
The beginning of this series takes place 1 year after the events of 10,000 Clowns. So Kyle essentially starts in the future and gives us that first arc with Rewire, the second arc with the Justice Lords and all that. And now we're going back and we're finding out what happened in the year between 10,000 Clowns and when the Rewire arc started. So this is the missing year, and oh man. Batman versus the Jokers is just simply amazing. Seeing him interact with Dana at college and Barbara as the commissioner. And as the story progresses here, we learn of someone trying to erase a certain blood sample so it isn't tracked. And we don't really know who's doing it or why. And I remember when I first read this in the single digital issues, and oh god. This scene, Jake Chill, for the murder of Warren McGinnis, your angel of death awaits. When the Phantasm first shows up again, I nearly lost my shit. I really did, because I'm like, hey, wait a minute, wait a minute. No, that can't be the Phantasm. What the hell? And we cut to the flashback scenes where it's a couple of weeks or a couple of days or whatever. I think it's a couple of weeks. I'm only kind of flipping through how this intersperses. It intersperses between the flashback and current kind of times. This first part of the flashback has got Barbara and Bruce and Alfred and Barbara's basically just saying, I'm done, and that other part between us, that's over too. I have never, you know this, I have never been one to take the Mystery of the Batwoman continuity into actual DCAU continuity, because I just don't want to believe that a relationship between Barbara and Bruce ever happened. It just doesn't compute to me. But what Kyle does here with it, and turns it basically on its ass against Bruce, is amazing. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the art for the flashback? Do you think that's...
Oh, I think it's very reminiscent of the DCAU. I mean, Dick is kind of off. Yeah. Considering it's like they merged his Robin look with his Nightwing look and came up with this. So, I mean, I guess I'm fine with that. It's either way, they're not exactly to the T, the DCAU version, but it's so close, it's hard not to see it. And then they also kind of aged them a little bit more in the sense that if you push them either way, like younger, they would look like their DCAU, or if you push them older, they would look like their DCAU Batman Beyond version. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice happy medium there.
Yeah, I mean, I just absolutely love it, and the flashback, the stuff with the Phantasm and Batman showing up, and him and the Phantasm having a fight was awesome. Absolutely love that. And the Phantasm is sitting here trying to tell him this is for your, and of course Batman doesn't care. He's just trying to stop a criminal. And what I really like is the panel on, but of course the actual physical trade doesn't have page numbers. Yay, DC. The panel where Vigilante kind of saves Batman's ass, and he says, Batman says to Bruce through the radio, "So that's the Phantasm?" "Yes." "I recognize the costume from the database, but other than Hunt's killers, there wasn't much about him." Her. Oh. The image right there, where it's Bruce on the left and Batman on the right, that's a creepy image.
Oh, I know.
I like it. I like it a lot, but it's really, really creepy awesome. So Batman finds out that Vigilante basically was a part of Mr. Fix's hit squad, and he actually was the one that killed his father. We get another flashback portion where they're Barbara and Dick are just sitting on the bench and talking about, how he still has the loft, but he can kind of play it by ear as far as staying in Gotham, and he wanted to be, near the ones that he cared about. Bruce in the current time wants to basically save Terry from doing something he'll regret, and of course you got to bring back the electrocution part of the bat suit, and that has to hurt. Mm-hmm. I don't think I want anybody controlling my bat suit like that.
No.
And Terry assumes that Bruce knows who Jake Chill is, because we get we get the whole thing of the fact that Jake Chill used to work at Wayne Powers, and he's the grandson of Joe Chill, who killed Bruce's parents. And Terry's like, this is you, Bruce, come on now, and this is one particular guy, one particular family, and everything else. And the writing in this is just, oh god, it's just so good. And the art is amazing.
Yeah, I really love the art in this thing. It's so spot on and reminiscent of DCAU. I wish this was all animated.
Oh yeah, it's like I already said. So we learn that Ghoul has improved the Joker serum, and Jake breaks into the Joker's hideout because he wants to save the day. And this is where Terry goes to Dick Grayson for the Phantasm Smoke antidote. And they have a talk about Bruce, and man,
how untrustworthy he is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust the words coming out of his mouth.
Yep, absolutely. And we get, basically he tells Terry that it's not his story to tell all the way through, and they bring Barbara in. So it's Terry, Barbara, and Dick, informing Terry on what happened. And what happens in the flashback is that Dick and Barbara end up getting back together, but it turns out she's pregnant by Batman, and that's not exactly a good thing. In the flashback, we see her going to stop some thugs, and the thugs get the better of her. This is interspersed with Bruce confronting Dick about him being the father of her child, and that's when Dick essentially punches Bruce out. As we go forward in the story here, we get Jake Chill on Joker Toxin. We get more of the story as far as what happened, and turns out Barbara lost the baby. And it ends up basically being, Terry is like, Barbara and Dick have all these regrets of what has happened in the past, and Batman's like, I won't do anything I'll regret. And then the Phantasm in the Batcave. You ever think that would happen? oh my God. I'm used to seeing her in cemeteries and stuff, but the Phantasm in the Batcave. And we learned that Andrea is just as old as Bruce is at this point, and her suit is got all kinds of servos and everything else, just like Bruce's original Batman Beyond suit did. And as we all know, Bruce's heart could not take that, so... I like seeing these two again. I like seeing, their whole relationship and what could have been and what wasn't. And I don't know. What are you thinking up to this point where she's in the cave?
I think it's kind of interesting because it's almost it reminds me of the whole Joker thing of sneaking in, or the Talia thing of, it's just the old remnant kind of knowing where Bruce is always at. Mm-hmm. And then sneaking in, he's just like nonchalant, like not surprised, like, hey.
Yeah.
As she takes everything off and starts talking.
Mm-hmm. And we then get back to Batman, who is breaking into the Joker's hideout in the old Gotham library, and we also get interspersed here with the final scenes with Bruce and Andrea, and she basically says goodbye, and because she's gonna go, her agenda is to kill Jake Chill. That's essentially what her agenda is. She assumes that that's gonna help Terry, and sadly, I don't think it is. So we got Jake on Joker Toxin, and the ha-ha-has on the art on the page where it's where Jake is just kind of like reaching out to him. It's like, oh my God! It's almost like they mimicked what happened in the Batcave.
Well, it's what they did is because Ghoul, I think it's Ghoul, says nothing beats a classic because he figured out the original Joker Toxin.
Mm-hmm. Well, right, and that's what I'm saying. But it's also a callback to the Batcave scene in Return of the Joker, because that's what they had, the ha 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 all over that as well when the Joker came back.
Mm-hmm.
So what it boils down to is that Jake sadly cannot be saved. There's too much. The antidote does not work. His heart essentially stops. Batman has to save Commissioner Gordon. The Jokers end up, getting caught pretty much. This whole smoke and the fear, just combining the Scarecrow's. Oh my God, this is one giant reference piece, everybody. For anyone who's ever, you've got the Phantasm smoke being made out of fear toxin. You've got Joker toxin with Jake Chill. I mean, it's just nothing but callbacks, and it's simply amazing.
Yeah. And then there's even this magical part where during the cremation that kind of reminds me of Arkham Knight with the Joker.
Oh no. Yeah, that's a little creepy. So we get back to Terry, Dana, and Max, and he realizes that Bruce contacted them, and Dana basically says to be there for you, which we would have been anyway, Bruce or no Bruce. I mean, assuming you want us to be. And Terry essentially walks away from her, goes back to the Batcave, and he and Bruce have, the whole partners are overrated discussion. And let's see what else. Oh, we have the Phantasm going back to Amanda Waller's, because that's who always employs the Phantasm. This is most definitely a callback to Epilogue as far as her being there. Let's see here. We then cut to the mayor and his son Davis, walking in and wanting time with him, and it kind of doesn't really. Well, it ends, but it doesn't. I always thought it was weird how the trade starts the Davis Dusk arc before the next full issue. I mean, it works. It's a nice little send off. Reintroduction to Rewire, and basically it ends with Ghoul, his quote unquote lawyer, getting ready to spring him,
which is funny.
Yeah. Just the way Ghoul is drawn and colored in this trade is just absolutely. There are some moments where it really does look like him, and then there are other moments where it's like, that's Ghoul. That just doesn't look right at all. So we have we start the all-in story arc here with we get Kyle and Alec on writing. Tony's back on art full time. And we have Terry in the Justice Lord's timeline training with the other Terry. How was this to read for you when you read our Terry being in the other timeline? Because I know you, I think you read the other one, but I don't think you might have read it.
But it's kind of confusing reading it, only for the fact that the differences between the two bat suits are the eyes and the chest pieces are inverted compared to the other version.
Yeah. And
there's more texture to the Justice Lord version, so it's a little hard to read, whereas if the green was kind of still in there and whatnot, it'd probably be easier to tell the difference. And our Terry has the wings. the Red Wings,
Yep.
which is strange.
Yep. We then get to Davis Dusk and Ghoul, and the whole thing behind this story arc is he wants to do something for the city, for his father. He wants to do something right. We then cut back to the Justice Lord's timeline where our Terry is meeting with that Terry's father. I understand why he needed to do this, but it just felt really, really forced to me. Because that the Justice Lord's timeline Warren McGinnis has a completely different, the Justice Lord's timeline Terry is completely different than our Terry, and which means that the Warren McGinnis of that timeline would have different memories, and so would our Terry of this timeline, and they don't really match up. So it was almost really awkward reading that scene.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we got our Terry going back to our timeline, and he's not going to use the portal anymore. We get Ghoul, we get Ink again, we get the Royal Flush Gang in 10. They're basically just throwing, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, they're basically just throwing every Batman Beyond thing that has ever been at us, and I personally love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not minding it all. I think that they do a little bit of villain overload.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit, but not much. And
Ghoul's basically the regular Joker of this timeline now.
Yeah, he pretty much is. I mean, Chucko and the others. I mean, you didn't really have too much with the DDs in this one, and even some of the other Jokers weren't even that great. I think what is so cool for me on this is how Kyle and Alec are developing the relationship between Terry and Melanie, that they're actually having a because in the cartoon series it was always a will they won't they, or oh my father, the criminal empire, the Royal Flush Gang, all that. And here it essentially obviously picks up after the episode where Melanie has kind of reformed herself, and then we have a team up with Ghoul and Ink. That's something I would have never thought we would see.
Yeah.
We also have Ink going to Melanie for help as well. We have Terry coming back to the cave, and that's not exactly anything going on there. He's just there, and Bruce isn't, because he's come back from the other timeline.
Yeah, Bruce dropped a file for him.
Yeah. So he and our Terry and Dick, our one-eyed Dick Grayson, have a conversation. And they end up talking about Melanie and her family, and it goes back to Ink and Melanie, and let's see here. We then get to the Neo Gotham Mall. We have a scene there with, is it Shriek? No, that can't be Shriek.
I have no idea.
That's a joke. It's a Joker. It's a unmasked. It's a non-makeup Joker. That's what it is. So we have this really cool action scene here, and I think my favorite. I remember how this originally ended in the single issues was on this panel with 10, where she says, She says, "That's a nice new trick. What do you say we put it to better use?" And it's her just sitting in the bleachers. I absolutely love that. As this story progresses with Rewire, basically he wants to destroy his father. He wants to take over the city, the standard. I think in this final arc, my favorite panel, I remember when this again came out in the single digital issues, is when Batman visits Ghoul at the hospital, and he's like, "Looks like you need to work on your customer satisfaction. Let me guess, he had issues with the costume," and it's basically just Terry in the window, holding the window up. I absolutely love that image. When they marketed this story to us, they said, "Oh, this is going to be the best Terry McGinnis Batman story ever." And it is this final issue. I like it. I really, really do. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel like...
I don't know. There's too much going on.
Yeah, I mean, they packed a lot of stuff in here, and I'm not complaining about it at all. But this last portion of it, they packed so much in, because all these villains end up teaming up together. Ink and Ghoul and just everybody. Because I remember the original cover for those issues was Ink, Ghoul, 10, and it was versus Barbara, Dick, Batman, and Bruce. Overall, I dug Mark of the Phantasm. Like I said before, the whole thing with the Phantasm and her coming back, I think it's absolutely wonderful. The fact that they went and got different artists for that part of the arc and stuff, with Phil Hester and Eric Gapster and Craig Rousseau, absolutely love the different art style, because everybody has their own interpretation of what Batman Beyond, Neo Gotham, all that stuff should look like, and I like that they got other people to... Don't get me wrong, I love Tony Silas. I've loved him since the very first story arc. But just seeing somebody else's take on it was absolutely amazing. I think the only thing I really wanted out of this, and it's just a little thing here, I wanted Kyle to explain the eye patch. Damn it.
Yeah, you'll probably never get that now.
I know. Well, obviously not. So what? After reading all this stuff, after reading the Rewire story in the beginning, after reading Justice Lords, and after reading this, what's your kind of final takeaway from the Batman Beyond 2.0 series?
I really enjoy it. I wish that there was more, but I wish that it was almost like I would rather see it like animated, because it'd be easier to follow.
Right.
But because I feel like some of these other intertwining stories are kind of distracting to some of the other stuff that could be going on, such as the Justice Lords thing.
Yeah.
And then the too many villains popping up. But other than that, like I like the story, and I like the animation, or the drawings, and the way that it's kind of played out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the whole Mark of the Phantasm part of the trade, that whole storyline, I reread it just before. I reread the whole thing just before, a couple days before we did this episode, and I posted on Twitter, I'm 9 pages into this, and damn you, Kyle and Alec, for making me cry, or whatever it was. And it's like, it's just all of that history, all of that bad history from DCAU and everything else is just so emotionally awesome. So absolutely love it. What would you give the final story, the final trade, 0 to 5 stars, or?
Give it about 4. Simply for the Phantasm.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. Like I said, going back and rereading this, it did feel like, I know they wanted to put all the villains in there and they wanted to do a villains team up at the end to make it the ultimate story, but it just kind of felt like it wasn't all over the place, the story itself, but it just the events and the way the art laid out and just some of the action scenes felt like they were all over the place, so I'll give it a 4 as well. Coming up on the pull bag, I'm not sure. I do know next week, right before New Year's Eve, we will have the final Gem episode of the year, which is Gem issue number 10 in the holiday special. We're doing that a week late because issue 10 doesn't come out until the actual 30th of December, so yeah, it got delayed. But anyway, that's what's going on there. Where can the people reach you online, sir?
At SCP-21.
All right. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time. We will, I don't know if it'll be Steve and I or somebody else, but we will be doing, in 2016, the new Batman Beyond series that DC has by, Dan Jurgens and Bernard Chang.
Tim Drake Batman.
Yes, Tim Drake Batman. Finally, a Tim Drake book, actually. Even though it's Batman Beyond, at least it's all about Tim Drake and not those damn Teen Titans. So, make your great escape to comics, and we will catch you next time.
Batman is dead. You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching GeekCast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at GeekCast Radio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.